Friend, I start each day with a look at your excellent questionnaire. I approach it with high resolve and great expectation, only to conclude with a deep sense of frustration. I must confess that I could not possibly do justice to it unless I disengaged myself completely from my many activities and immersed myself completely in memories of the past. Something very deep in me refuses to do so, and I cannot overcome it. Perhaps it is just laziness, but I cannot conquer it. I will, however, answer the question, that is question 17 of your questionnaire, which you raised on the telephone, and to which I definitely promised to address myself. Jewish chaplains did not end their stay in Europe. This is a quote from you. They came to serve long before Dr. Haber arrived, and they remained long after he was gone. Jewish chaplains continue to serve with our armed forces in Europe to this day, and will probably continue to do so as long as the United States has forces in Europe. Bill Haber's regrettable statement was, in my opinion, motivated by reasons of a non-factual character. And his statement, it seems to me, was terribly misleading. If he had written, for example, that his office could use Jewish chaplains who didn't beat their wives, the impression conveyed might have been that all or most of or some of them did indeed beat their wives. I do not know how many rabbis beat their wives, but I'd bet beans to buttons that very few Jewish chaplains were involved in, quote, questionable activities, that is black market. Certainly not any more than Bill Haber or Abe Hyman or Lou Barish or General Clay or anyone else. Probably less. Of course, there must have been some basis for Dr. Haber's statement, and indeed there was. The Office of, let me explain, the Office of Advisor on Jewish Affairs received a report that one of our regular Army Jewish chaplains, Oscar Lifshitz, not assigned to our office, that is the Office of the Advisor on Jewish Affairs, not assigned to serve with DPs or to advise on Jewish affairs, and stationed in Vienna, was suspected of black market activity. I can't remember the origin of the report, and frankly, I never saw it. I think I heard it from Bill Haber and Abe Hyman. I think what bothered Bill Haber more than the allegation of black market activities was the fact that when Bill went down to Vienna, now this I remember very distinctly, when Bill went down to Vienna to advise General Keyes of Austria on Jewish affairs, the general, among other things, told him that he had a pretty good Jewish advisor in the person of Oscar Lifshitz, who was right by his side whenever he needed him. The general was complaining about the failure of our Office of Advisor on Jewish Affairs to respect his command as a separate and independent entity from the headquarters of the United States Army in Europe, which was located, of course, in Frankfurt and Berlin. The generals are also vain, and perhaps Keyes had a right to be sensitive about his jurisdiction, but we dealt very little directly with the general in Vienna, although it was a separate command, still under headquarters, the United States Army in Europe. We dealt with General Keyes very, very seldom, almost always with the top brass in the higher headquarters that was in Frankfurt and Berlin. This was natural, and it was unavoidable considering the limited size of our office and our function as defined by the Army Table of Organization. Well, the point relevant to your inquiry is that Keyes never referred to black market activities on the part of Mike Lifshitz, but instead expressed delight and satisfaction with the daily job that Lifshitz was doing for him. I hope this answers the question, and that can turn from this negative historical footnote to the, it seems to me, very important positive contribution that you can make to this subject. Incidentally, you might find very helpful a chapter 7 to be exact, called A New Life for the DPs, in a book called Justice, Not Charity, a biography of Harry Greenstein, who was one of the advisors on Jewish affairs, written by Louis L. Kaplan and Theodore Shukat. I wrote that chapter. It's a chapter dealing with the contribution of Harry Greenstein, but in it is reflected the work and aspirations of the Jewish chaplain. I think you'll find this chapter useful. If you can't get a copy of the book, and I think you should be able to, ask, what's his name, Abe Hyman. He surely has one. Best of everything to you. I hope you draw a lot of nachas, satisfaction from the job that you've undertaken, and that you fulfill your goal in the very near future. Shalom.